Hi, everybody. I hope that you can see me. I'm going to check this out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your long suffering with this case um, and giving us a support. I hope it's all working. Let's see. So this is day 1068. 1068. Here I am. Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. I am up and running. Thank you, Anicia. Um, so I still listed this live stream as the JAG conflict of interest because this is not solved and it is very, very, very important. So we need to know what JAG office on Fort Bliss participated, interfered, and let's see, I'm going to get my list of information because this is so important. That I made a list because things are becoming very, very legal. Because number one, we're in the big leagues now. Remember, I mentioned that we were in the big leagues because of the attention that this case is getting. It might not be in the media, but it is getting traction behind the scenes. And the reason why is because it's not just Richard's case anymore. Even before we discovered that there's this lack of warrant, lack of probable cause affidavit to enter our home in Sarasota, Florida. Before all of that happened, there's so much evidence, so much hard facts now that you just can't ignore it if you're in law enforcement. If your duty is to establish justice, you can't ignore this. And to this case, Richard must have pulled on a very just the right string because so many agencies have been brought in, and we have hard facts of this to cover up what happened to Richard. And let me get this camera a little straight. So I want to get this right because now we're entering a lot of legal language, a lot of processes. And if you're wondering why I'm not so emotional, I'm trying really hard not to let emotions lead this case. And it's so, so difficult because it's so frustrating. And there's so many uh, um, lies being told, misinformation, um, silence that does not clarify the situation. Where are these letters that have the watermark, that have the official signature and everything on that to clarify what happened to Richard, the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier? Right? Where are these? The Distinguished Honor Graduate, the whistleblower. There's he has designations, and those designations are whistleblower. Um, is the Vanessa Guillen First Absent Soldier, and also the Distinguished Honor Graduate. The other designations, we don't know. We're trying to find out because we've been so lied to, and they're not official. They're not official. So, and if you would have been in those meetings with us, you would absolutely look back and say, yeah, that didn't make sense, and that didn't make sense, and I remember this, and I remember that. So, uh, looking back, it was definitely they were rushing around trying to manipulate and trying to get just the right narrative. And, they were clicking their heels together to cover up pedophilia, to cover up crimes, to cover up a murder, to cover up for the sake of the army. But, the army works for us. The army works to defend the Constitution. That's why we commission them. And they've forgotten that. It's like all they're doing is defending themselves, their institution, but the institution has a purpose. So this JAG issue, this conflict of interest, so we have a conflict of interest in the CID, right? We do. And we know that the FBI has a conflict of interest because of Nadal Baim. So then we have the Sheriff's Department saying they're having a records keeping problem. That's not our these people get all this taxpayers' money. We have all kinds of we have all kinds of ability to keep records, to keep information. We are like, they all want to keep information, and they're saying they're having a records keeping problem when it comes to issuing a warrant that allows an assault team of an assault unit to enter a home, to come onto the property, to trespass onto the property, and they don't have the affidavit, the probable cause affidavit. And then we have a key witness, and this is why this is so important, and this is all connected. A key witness in this case that is the witness of those in the institution that are involved in the forced disappearance and murder of Richard. And he was banned from Fort Bliss because he is in the position, he has the authority to go onto Fort Bliss, go into the garrison, get records, investigate and talk with people, interview, even the judge, because we sent the judge many requests. His name is Judge Robert Shook, okay? And I hope I'm saying that right. Robert Lee Shook. And we are asking him for this warrant information, for this affidavit information, probable cause affidavit information. We haven't heard from him yet. And we have one JAG office denial of having any kind of participation and interference, and issuing a retaliation against one of our key witnesses. We have one denial, but there's many JAG offices on Fort Bliss. Okay. And so we need to know which JAG office is briefing Major General Eisenhower, which JAG office, if it's that JAG office, participated in the retaliation and the interference, which led to the banning of our key witness from Fort Bliss, entering Fort Bliss. That's very, very important because that is obstructing justice. That's obstructing this whole investigation into Richard's case. And we have been given the orders. We have been given the title of the chief investigators of our own son's case. And in order to do that job, to have those boots on the ground, to continue to investigate the forced disappearance of our son, then we need to get our key witness reinstated because it's unjust, it's groundless, it's absolutely a groundless ban. No one even told this person that they were being banned. There was no reason to be banned. And, it is crucial in Richard's case for us to have access with boots on the ground onto Fort Bliss, especially by a key witness that has authority, is in an authoritative position, and access to do a much thorough investigation as part of our investigation, to give leads then to the general who requested leads. In the last communication that he sent us, he requested leads from us. The same thing with CID. They have requested leads from us. So this is very, very important that this JAG office, the very office that is supposed to be protecting our soldiers, helping our soldiers, are now hindering the investigation of the very first Vanessa Guillen missing soldier. It really it is so frustrating, and it's more evidence when you look at it from my point of view as foul play, the cover-up of foul play, the protection of the Army, and the foul play, the murder of Richard. So it's not just in my opinion, because of what's going on in so many agencies, it is very clear then to me that they're covering up something so foul, something so horrendous and so international, okay, because of Mexico being involved in this, that they will use every agency to help cover up. They will call in all agencies to cover up. And so it goes back to that task force Find Richard Halliday, where the JAG was there, right? Where the FBI was there, and the CID was there, and Homeland Security was there, and the El Paso Police Department was there, and the Mexican military law enforcement was there, and the Mexican military was there, the Mexican law enforcement was there, and ATF was there, which is alcohol, firearms, tobacco, and alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. They were there with the State Department, with the drug DEA, on and on and on. And they had every opportunity on the 9th of November to tell us about their findings with Richard by then. This is the 9th of November, right? There, instead of the start of a task force, the task force should bring people together to tell of their findings. But they just wanted it to be a dog and pony show, 100%, because they gave us the task of introducing Richard. And that's why for this live stream, I put on the video of Richard with the crackers, right? The commercial with the crackers. It's so cute that Allison took. Allison took that video. Um, so to get the right JAG office on Fort Bliss, who really committed a crime because they interfered in our son's case. They obstructed justice and prevented a key witness for no reason at all. So that's retaliation. Because he put in a CID complaint, he put in an FBI complaint, he put in a complaint to the command about the many things, but about the leaking of Richard's file to Leilani Hart, brought out into the light Tavita Nusa, the special agent there at the CID, brought out into the light Leilani Hart and Leilani Hart's confession in her own CID complaint that connects Richard's case with the child sex trafficking, with the child pornography, with her son, First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, who was serving with Richard right there on Fort Bliss, with, just puts motive into Richard's case. It's just very, very important. We have key witnesses, right? We have key witnesses. We have prime witnesses, like the cashier is a prime witness to Nadal Baim, the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ATCOM. We have that, right? That said that, the FBI found Richard dead there in Juarez, Mexico. Shh, it's a secret. So we have that. And we also have Anthony Swafford. He's a key witness because he sat there and listened to somebody on the guard mount podium during the who knows how many changes of shift this person spoke. That's another huge question that we need to ask, because we have information, we have it all on record that Special Agent Soto scrubbed Richard's file of every mention of a key witness. We have that. And so there is a tampering, a scrubbing, an interference, retaliation. This is such a botched investigation by so many. Look at the FBI saying that Nadal Baim is nothing. And that happened at the end of October. In November, when we had the task force meeting, why didn't they stand up and tell us who Nadal Baim is, right? And deny any wrongdoing? But that didn't happen. It was a cover-up. So that is hard facts cover-up, that on November 9th, the FBI covered up the fact that they knew who Nadal Baim is, who he is related to, the information that he is relaying, and we have hard facts on Anthony Swafford, that they are covering up? Why don't they tell us who participated in this smear campaign of Richard on the military police guard mount? That is a hard fact, but they're not telling us. They're covering it up. Why don't they tell us who the dog is that was sniffing the canine for Richard's remains? But they don't tell us. They cover it up. Why didn't they tell us who Danae Katzen is? That she's on the way to becoming, a El Paso police 10 most wanted fugitive. She is a credit card con. What else is she? She has all kinds of things on her record. So many witnesses talking about her being a con artist, warning people that she's a con artist. There are posts on Facebook warning people that she's a con artist, even now. And, why didn't the CID, why didn't they write us? No, they let us on for a whole month because they're on cover-up mode. And that means that they didn't have the soldier that she was lying about. They didn't have his 6. So, we have these hard facts over and over again. And the one that we're focused on right now is that we have it on record that JAG is the one that participated, interfered, and retaliated against one of our key witnesses to retaliate more than one way and to ban him from Fort Bliss because he is a man of position. He is a man of authority. He is a man of ability to very quickly discover what happened to Richard. And yet they ban him from entering Fort Bliss, the crime scene. The crime scene. So this is really important for us to get to, and we've been working. You also, when we got the denial today, people, let's just say the denial was not a respectful email, which makes things emotional. And it took us a lot of thinking, even through his own emotional roller coaster, to think things through and to figure out how we are going to respond. How are we going to respond to this so that we can not really do harm to the case, but that we can figure out which JAG office, which JAG officer is truly responsible for this retaliation, for this obstruction, for this participation in sabotaging the search for Richard. Because at the end of the day, that's how you have to think. If someone is going to, I don't know, just lose it, you have to deal with all the human emotions and fears. And, when you think about it, aren't we glad? Aren't we glad? Because we're not machines. We are not machines. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be our human emotions that will win out. And part of that human emotion is self-control, is staying vigilant, is staying focused, is becoming stronger in purpose. And I think losing it, being short fused, is not knowing how to respond to people. I think that's going to lose out. That's going to lose out. And you see that everywhere today. The lack of respect, even for, um, well, the authority have lost their respect. They've lost their trust. They've damaged their titles and their positions. We once respected Congress and the Senate much more than what we do today. We once respected the military before the COVID pandemic mandates that were crimes against humanity. We respected the military much more. And then, as we've learned that they committed crimes against humanity, and then that exposed their warmongering. I mean, Congress right now is still warmongering. They just want the economy of the wartime economy, to continue. Um, and in my estimation, it's very profitable, and they get funding from certain companies that benefit and profit off of the war machine and wars. And so they don't hesitate at all to send our volunteer sons and daughters who are depending on the leadership to be mentors to them, right? To care for them. And what's going on is that they're being sent to unjust wars and to placate the stock market or whatever, right? And that is, we've been lied to so much, so much. And so that's why this is really, really important, to uncover every little step. And Major General Eisenhower could do this. Major General Eisenhower could tell us which JAG is the one briefing him. Which JAG, he could easily find out which JAG is the one that's interfering and participating in the retaliation of a key witness in the Richard Halliday, the Vanessa Guillen absent soldier, the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier case. Absolutely, he could do it. And he could reinstate our key witness onto Fort Bliss, the access onto Fort Bliss that he has had for many, many years. So I think, letters to Major General Eisenhower are so necessary. And we're coming up to the 3-year anniversary of Richard. We just had his birthday. We wrote Major General Eisenhower a letter. He responded to us in a strange way, pretty strange, y'all. It just tells you that it's just such a cover up. And we responded back to him, and we await his answer. And we wrote Judge Shook about if he is involved in signing off on a probable cause affidavit. What probable cause affidavits? What judge signed off on a warrant so that the fugitive apprehension unit, an assault unit with an assault team that was sent out to our home that trespassed, that was meant to search our home. Where is all that information? So it's going to come down to the legal aspects of this case. And that the legal aspects are going to be backed up by society wanting justice, wanting something done, demanding something be done. And that's why your letters are so important. So I've put out a letter for Major General Eisenhower that you can just copy off. I've put out a postcard that you can print out and fold in half and write find Richard Halliday in it. But this is really important. And another thing that is on the agenda, of course, is reaching out to Congress again, and also to the DA and to the Attorney General. And I wanted to play this for you because I had this, and I thought this was really, really important. And I was told to pretty much focus on Richard's case by my very, very dear friend. And I totally agree with that. But there's a connection between what's happening at the highest levels that trickles down to even Richard's case and many, many other cases. And so let me see if I can play this for you.
Listen, I was the guy that was there in Congress for Russiagate, and I've been going big on Congress saying they're going to get it done, but I'm kind of with you, and that's where I was last week, even to the point of on my show last week where I exploded on them for failing to do the constitutional oversight on FBI, on DOJ, on Hunter Biden, on Joe Biden. I made it so simple for them that yesterday I literally put out on Truth a how to impeach guide for the United States Congress on when it comes to Hunter Biden. Look, this meeting, and Steve, you know this better than anyone. Remember the bogus Trump Tower meeting that Adam Schiff and his idiot sycophantic cronies went out and subpoenaed the entire world to prove absolutely nothing happened? Now we have a meeting with an IRS whistleblower and 9 people, United States attorneys and FBI agents, where they admitted that Weiss could not bring the charges against Hunter he wanted. And we found this information out last week, and there hasn't been one subpoena sent out to every single person in this meeting. Not a letter. Forget the letters. Forget the phone calls. Forget the niceties. 7-day turnaround, put butts in the seat and find out who's lying, then impeach Merrick Garland. I don't understand what this congressional leadership is doing. You are there for us. Forget your boondoggles and forget your donor events. Do the job that we sent you there to do. I mean, they're just not getting it done, Steve.
Cash, Garrett Ziegler was on yesterday. He's done, as you know, you've gone through it. The
other things are. But you raise a good point.
Please help me out here.
They're not that dumb, so I don't know the answer other than they're intentionally looking to do other things. And I don't know what those other things are. But you raise a good point, Steve, with Garrett Ziegler. This is a great point that people haven't been talking about. Those crimes that Hunter Biden committed occurred in a multitude of states where we have Republican attorney generals. If you aren't going to rely on Washington, D.C. and the federal government to act, why aren't these state AGs opening up investigations and paneling grand juries and prosecuting Hunter Biden in each and every state he committed one of these offenses? It's time to start calling those guys out by name. They've been passing the buck for far too long in D.C.
Hang on.
And
hang on. Hang on. Slow down, because I love this concept. You've mentioned it before. Let's go into it. In the 9 you're talking about, and all with the whistleblowers, everything like that. Contextualize that. So the concept is, you know, that if it's done in a jurisdiction, a local like Bragg is going after Trump, right? Or the AG in Georgia is going after Trump for the other. The whole thing about the election, J6. Election stuff, right? So you have you have a Fulton County AG there. You have a city Manhattan borough, I guess, AG. They feel they have jurisdiction or claim jurisdiction. They're running for it. You said we have state AGs. What do you mean? In what specific context are they, do you believe, authorized to go after this now since Congress is asleep at the switch?
I'll give you a great example. Where did Hunter Biden brandish his firearm? Where did he supposedly have sex with an underage girl? Where did he do narcotics that were unlawful? Where did he put the narcotics and the guns together? Where was the documentation produced in what state regarding the firearm and the illegality therein? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Missouri? How about other states like Arkansas and elsewhere where we have state attorney generals who are Republican? And then you get down to the next level below them, the district attorneys who also can prosecute these crimes, not as a statewide crime, but as a county crime. As long as the illegality occurred in your district, in your county, or you can bring that prosecution. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, just a piece of it. But everybody's gone lazy. They're just like, oh, the FBI's looking into it for 5 years, so we're not going to touch it. Of course, we can trust the FBI and Chris Wray and Merrick Garland and all these other government gangsters out there. This is what I mean. Republicans have not been hard enough on the elected officials we sent to be our law enforcement chiefs in counties and states where Hunter Biden committed crimes. This isn't rocket science. You don't need to go to law school. Send out a subpoena, get the documentation, go to a grand jury and charge him. The Democrats have the gall to do it to the former president of the United States, and we can't do it to Hunter Biden, an actual crack addict, illegal, felony, China-loving monster? Come on, man, as Joe Biden would say.
Cash, 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 cash.
Okay, so I think that is, when I listen to that, I look at it from a fine Richard Halliday point of view. And where is Mr. Hicks, right? The DA. Where is Bill Hicks? He could be helping us. He could give us protection. There's just so much that he could do. And so this whole law enforcement, what about the AG? Why are their hands off on this case when it comes to a missing soldier? And being it international with Mexico, you would think that the AG would be all over this case and have oversight over Fort Bliss, not as much as what Vanity Fair Veronica Escobar has, but absolutely she could be involved too. And the hands are off. And here we have a confirmation. We have confirmation on record that Richard's file was scrubbed of any mention of a key witness and that the JAG participated. And we have confirmation recorded that the JAG participated in the retaliation, the interference of that key witness by specifically not banning that person from entering Fort Bliss and conducting the boots on the ground investigation that the CID, that the command, because we just got the letter from Major General Eisenhower asking for leads, for us to give them leads. They're obstructing that process, that investigation into the disappearance of our son. And so where is the AG? Where is the law enforcement, the DA, to give us the help that we need? We pay all of these taxes and we need them now, and they're ignoring us. They're sitting on their hands, or what are they doing? They're just trying to go after innocent people, less violent people, less politically fired up cases that are safe for them, so that they can just say, oh, look what I did, and vote for me now. And they can sit in their air-conditioned, beautiful building offices that we give them, and not really fight and be law enforcement officers that they are meant to be. So this is, pretty shocking when we have, like I said, on record that the JAG interfered in Richard's case, and also that the main head of the CID at Fort Bliss scrubbed. Not only was Soto spreading false rumors and smearing Richard behind the scenes, claiming that he was some kind of criminal wannabe with counterfeit money or whatever, when and as his evidence he used Hollywood money. Can you believe it? I mean, that's also fraud, right? This is fraud. This is obstruction of justice. This is tampering with witnesses. This is, I mean, it goes on and on. I'm not even law enforcement. I'm not even a lawyer, and I understand some of the laws that are broken here. But not only did Soto do that, and then at the November 9th meeting, they all those law enforcement agencies were there, and they could ask us, they could tell us, we could have discussed Nadal Baim, the FBI man. We could have discussed the cashier, the witness of Nadal Baim, there at the Dollar General. Just days before that, what was that? Like a little week and a half before that meeting, this occurred. And saying that the FBI were hiding the remains of Richard that they found in Mexico. Shh, shh, it's a secret. So, yeah, why wasn't that discussed at the meeting? Why wasn't all of these allegations against Richard, these smears against Richard, discussed at the meeting? They weren't. They weren't. It was just a dog and pony show to hear us. The substance that they got was from us saying there's a conflict of interest in the CID. There were leaks then. We knew on November 9th, 2020, there were leaks then. And so when our key witness came out at the beginning of 2022, that was not a surprise when we received the phone call that there were leaks coming out of the CID. We already knew that. What we did not know is that Richard had a file already as a whistleblower in the CID. He already had a file, not as a missing soldier, but as a whistleblower, and that he was exposed by this leaking. He was exposed, and we have proof because of Leilani Hart's 22nd of July, 2023. That's a day before Richard went missing. Confession to the CID. So, these leaks were before Richard went missing. And so there's reports, CID file before Richard went missing, why the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. And I'm sure it included the CPS complaints. And yet, we can't get that information. And you would think that the generals that they have an obligation to care for our soldiers would want to expose the foul play against a whistleblower, right? Because they're the ones that told our soldiers, you see something, you say something, right? And then they offer them no protection because even Austin Hawke was getting threats before he was brutally murdered. And so they offered him no protection. He's exposed as a whistleblower. Richard's exposed as a whistleblower. And Richard then is brutally murdered, premeditated murder with the okay. This is the information that we have with the okay from the command. And they're doing everything possible to want to say, to affirm that position. If you are not going to tell the public what Richard Halliday was reporting to the CPS, to the Child Protective Services, what he was turning in with the sex videos, what he was reporting to the CID as a whistleblower, and if you're not going to tell the public that the commander gave the okay to murder Richard, the premeditated murder of Richard, not just the murder, but that he was being tortured. And if you're not going to look, we got a letter today from the archives that said they don't have the rest of Richard's file. They sent us whatever they have. But where is the field grade Article 15? Right? Where is the chaptering? Where is all the other information that we know belongs in the archive of Richard's file and is missing? Why is there so much tampering with files? Missing videos, missing documents, missing testimony. Why can't we know? We have all the reasons why they destroyed, went out and retaliated against Richard to destroy him, to make his life so miserable in hopes that he would, and this is my opinion now, that he would commit suicide. Because my experience in these last 3 years from parents, not quite 3 years, but going on 3 years, is that there seems to be an SOP to suicide soldiers that they don't want. So let's just retaliate against them. Let's train them to suicide. Let's make their life so miserable. And when that doesn't happen and they can't get rid of a soldier that way, oh, he committed suicide. Oh, she committed suicide. To cover up any of their whistleblowing reports, to make it all go away, to protect criminals. They're protecting criminals. They're protecting criminal activity within the military. That's my opinion in all of this, because everything that they're doing screams that. Because if they really wanted justice, they would handle this case much different. They would absolutely be much more transparent, and we would have hard letters in our hands with watermarks, with a heading, with a signature that would clarify all of this. But no, we have a much more devious, much more criminal situation here. So criminal that we believe that they have found the remains of Richard, the dismembered remains of Richard, found in different locations, and one being in Mexico. And that's why they want to keep this very brutal murder, and also internationally brutal murder, that was okayed by the command, because they were in some kind of criminal enterprise in the military right there at Fort Bliss. And we know, just take a look at the emergency intake center. We have 85,000, you heard me right, 85,000 unaccounted for minors. And that emergency intake center is ran by admirals. The last time that Congress was talking about this, and it's ran by admirals. So that's the military. And they can't, with all the money that we give them, with all the trust that we give them, with all the tools that we give them, they can't take names down and addresses and know where these minors are going in our country. They can't keep track of human beings. Are you kidding me? They can't compile a database of information. Are you kidding me? And even the JAG officer that responded to us today, really afraid. He's so afraid, using capital letters, yelling at us because he's so afraid because of this conflict of interest in the JAG. And, even he is saying, well, I lost emails. Are you kidding me? You're JAG and you're helping out the family of a missing soldier that is a huge case and you're missing emails? You can't find emails? Uh, you know, this is not just a home computer. This is a military computer that is serviced by a whole team of tech experts. Supposedly, I mean, we pay all kinds of tax money to go into making our military this fighting force. And, we, General McConville, he cracks me up, um, makes me cry because all he is a shill for lies that, to make the army look great while our soldiers are committing suicide, while he's committing crimes against humanity, using our military to do that, right? And committing crimes against humanity on our own service members, retaliating against those that don't want to participate in these unlawful orders. And, and he's acting all charming and pretty. He needs to be out of that uniform. He needs to be stripped of those stars. He's a disgrace to our country, and he's betrayed our country, betrayed the world because he committed crimes against humanity. Now, that's my opinion, and I'm sure that's a nice opinion compared to the real law enforcement that knows the laws, that knows what really happened, that knows the penalties for these kind of crimes. I can't believe that he's getting away with this, what he's doing. That our 44 four-star generals and admirals are getting away with the betrayal, the betraying of our nation, of our people, of our land, of our laws, and servicing foreign and domestic enemies. And yet, when it comes to Richard, so they will go to all kinds of extent, use all kinds of money to make their little commercials and, try to recruit more of our volunteer sons and daughters, being lied to. It's fraud, waste, and abuse, to get them to join, to be sent to unjust wars for the sake of business plans. And it's the same thing with the FBI there in El Paso, putting up all of those billboards for this political purpose. But yet, where is the money to go to a billboard for Richard? Where is the help to search for whoever perpetrated these crimes against Richard? Right? They'll send an assault team to our house without, right now, there's no warrant, without a warrant. I mean, they'll go to, so it's not like they don't know how to do things. They know how to do things. And so every bit of their action and inaction when it comes to Richard's case, and their silence in Richard's case, screams that they're covering for themselves. that the command indeed, in my opinion, indeed gave the okay to murder our son, murder Richard Halliday. So that's pretty wicked. That's pretty wicked, and that's pretty serious. Okay, let's see if there's any questions now. Thank you, Anicia. Thank you, Danielle, for always coming on. And don't you think um, that the general is the one that we need to hold accountable for what is going on in JAG? Because he absolutely knows who briefs him from JAG. They're always surrounded by their SJAs, right? So who is briefing them, and who interfered in this case? I mean, who do you go to when you have this kind of conflict of interest within CID, within the FBI, within the JAG, within the Sheriff's Department, within the command? Can you believe it? And we have hard facts that confirms all of that. And, CID, Quantico, and Ford, who is, he made the statement that CID didn't get involved in this case until September 1st, 2020. And he said that to Senator Ted Cruz. So, I think it's about time that they look at all of this information and put it together and say, wait a minute, if they didn't get involved until September 1st, 2020, then why were they spreading rumors? Why were they speaking at the guard mount? Why were they telling the family that they had a warrant out for Richard's arrest? And they, remember, we wanted Richard to be designated missing. And they were like, well, wait a minute. If you do that, there's no warrant out for his arrest. And there wasn't anyway. And the only thing that makes sense is that he died while missing, and they're hiding his remains. And now they have gone almost 3 years of cover up and committing more crimes, right? More crimes begat more crimes begat more crimes. So they've committed more crimes, and now it's even going to be, nothing's too hard for God, but it is going to be something else to expose this even more, because they're going to try with everything they have to keep this covered up because the crimes are so big. Instead of just being honest to begin with, they've made things far, far worse for far, far more people. And so, and what's, and many might think, well, this is not going to, I'm no part of this. What is this to me? But if we don't do anything, then the crimes keep on snowballing, and then it starts interfering with your life. Absolutely. And also, let's think about what's really going on, who the crimes are really being committed against. And if we don't do anything, we have to answer to God for that. With this child sex trafficking, with this child porn, with even our families. Uh, this First Lieutenant Dallas Hart being in an incestuous relationship, we can't say that's okay. That's abuse. That's child abuse. So just like this 14-year-old on Fort Bliss living in the barracks, a female, you have 9-1. That's the best ratio. It gets even worse from there. Nine males to one female, and you have 17 to 25-year-old males, some maybe a little bit older, but 17 to 25, 9 males to one 14-year-old, and she's being prostituted out. And she's not an isolated case. And this all after Asia Graham, like they're just kicking Asia Graham right in the teeth, her memory. And don't forget that her dear friend died not too many months after she did. And let's not forget what was happening with Austin, with Enrique, with Vanessa. So what are these 44 four-star generals and admirals good for? What are they good for? Because they absolutely have the power. We have given them the power to click heels together, to establish justice, to establish the Medal of Honor ethos, to have the Good Samaritan ethos established, to have esprit de corps, esprit de corps, esprit de corps. We've given them the power to do that and the tools to do that, the staffs to do that, the money to do that. They have everything. We have given them everything. We've given them the respect. We've given them trust. What are they good for? They've betrayed us. Especially when you have a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks, being prostituted out, and she's not an isolated case. Especially when you have cases like Richard Halliday, especially when you have cases like Vanessa Guillen or Austin Hawk or Asia Graham or Caleb Smither or Enrique Roman Martinez. It's like Lavina Johnson, like Elder Fernandez. And I have a whole host that I need to name every time I get on here. I need to put it on a little sticker and put it right there on my computer and just read them off every time. Because those names cannot be forgotten. Gregory Morales cannot be forgotten. And people will just smear these individuals after they're gone, right? They can't defend themselves. They will just smear them, write them off. These are all young people. Young people. And they'll just write them off without any kind of trial, without any kind of, and they're always like, oh, we can't judge. But they judge so all the time. All the time they judge. And that's a psyop. These are all human beings that were all, their lives were cut short by major crimes because of the dereliction of duty, because of the betrayal of 44 four-star generals and admirals that we have entrusted our military to. And where is the esprit de corps? Where is the shock, the absolute disgust when someone betrays? It's like betrayal is so normal, we don't care anymore. Everybody should expect to be betrayed. No, that's not how you run a strong country, a strong military, a strong family. So, thank you so much for coming on. And please, if you have some time, write Major General Eisenhower a letter. And we really appreciate it. Find Richard Halliday. And the main thing we're looking for right now that's very, very important, because if we can get our witness um, back on Fort Bliss, because there's no reason to be banned, uh, it will really help find Richard. And I was sent, I know a body was found up by Albuquerque, and so we're looking into that. And keep sending us all the information. If I don't post it, I'm very sorry, but keep sending all that information. It all helps, and I appreciate it so, so much. And if you really think something is important, send it to me 2 times or 3 times, because I do get a lot of information, and I try to go through it all. Um, so, just keep that line of communication with us open, and be long suffering with us. And, if something is really, you want to get our attention, send it a couple times, and even call us. We never mind a phone call, 941-677-0060. That's why we had to, when we were getting um, all that smear campaign or the vile and vulgar messages, I didn't want to end that phone number, because it's such an important phone number that's out there, 941-677-0060. And we found out how to trace burner phones. So if you ever need to do that, it's possible. And don't listen to the CID where we're talking to the CID. Hey, we're getting vile and vulgar messages. Well, it's burner phones. We can't do anything to help you. No, you can do something. Okay, you can do something. So, and the DA could have done something, and the FBI could have done something, and the AG could have done something, and the AUSAs could have done something, and they can do something right now to help. But there's there is who has strings on these people, because it's not the American people. Somebody else has strings on these people, and they're using American taxpayer funds to pay their own employee. It's like they're employed by the puppet master, and yet the puppet master is so clever, they use taxpayers' money to pay their workers, and they get all the profits. I don't understand how we can allow this to go on and we don't see it. In this case, anyway. In this case. Because people all the time contact me and say, Pat, why don't you contact this person? Why don't you contact this person? This person should help you. Why doesn't media help? Why isn't this? Why? And it's like, yep, I'm doing it. We're doing it. And we need you to do it too. Yep. All these people, who is pulling their strings? I'll never forget that conversation with Miss Kercherga from El Paso Matters. And where is she? Has she called back? Does she have any urgency to help the family of the missing soldier? Right there in her backyard? Right there? And she gets an award that she cares? She cares for the Hispanics. Let me tell you this. I don't think, I would bet money she doesn't give a flip. Okay? Because if she doesn't give a flip about a missing soldier that has been maligned and murdered, on Fort Bliss that is absolutely vital to the defense of a country, you know, to keep that going so that, because if America's doing well, Mexico, the neighbor, does well, you see? So, and our military is full of Hispanics. Now, does that matter to me? It doesn't matter to me. It's full of our volunteer sons and daughters of this republic, right? That's what it's full of. And if she cared at all, she would be all over this because she would see the wider ramifications. She's an award winning journalist. She would see the wide ramifications of this case and how the possibility of and how it hurts others. How it hurts others. If we don't get justice, then other families won't get justice either. And I think that's a dereliction of her duty as a journalist. And I'll never forget that phone call. I will never forget it. It was quite the phone call. It really was. I'm telling you, she's up to no good. So, but you know, people can change. They can change on a dime. Maybe she can change on a dime. So, the media definitely needs to get on this. Okay, thank you, everyone. God bless you, and I will see you tomorrow, God willing.